know, somebody like you can really make things all right.
Hey, Ma, you want uppers?
Getting the money is not the problem, Harry.
I'm coming back, Marion.
When we think of method acting, Jared Leto is definitely a name that pops to mind. The actor is known for using and often abusing the technique to prepare for his parts. Back in 2000, Leto played the role of the drug addict Harry Goldfarb in Darren Aronofsky's indie classic Requiem for a Dream. It was the actor's first leading role in cinema, and he received widespread praise for it. But how did Leto prepare to play Harry? Did he use method acting back then? How did the role affect his life? We'll dive into that and more in today's video. Requiem for a Dream is about addiction and escapism. A drug addict is someone always craving for something they can't seem to find. In order to achieve this state of insatiable hunger, Jared Leto gave up two fundamental things in his day-to-day life: sex and food. The actor, who was dating Cameron Diaz at the time, allegedly stopped having sex for 2 months to feel more on edge. Some say it was a request from director Darren Aronofsky to both Leto and Marlon Wayans, who plays Harry's friend Tyrone. It wasn't just sex that Leto gave up, he also did a lot less eating. The actor dropped a shocking 25 pounds to give his character an emaciated frame.
And I did go through a really intense body transformation for the role. My thought was I wanted the character to be in a place of constant starvation, of craving, of desire, and food was a great way to do that. I also, just from my own experience and education, knew that it would be a good physical representation of somebody that was living in that world at that time.
If you're imagining that Leto went through a strict protein diet or cut out sweets to lose that many pounds, well, you probably forgot we're talking about a method actor. Jared Leto went all in. His goal was to feel starvation, but the actor told The Independent that it came at a price. "I was in a constant state of hunger. I started fainting when I was on the set. Health troubles ensued. My bone marrow dropped 400 points. My liver up. I was miserable. It was a painful, dark place, but it was rewarding. I don't know if you've ever fasted, but there were a couple moments towards the end where I had hallucinations. I'd look up at the sky and I'd get a feeling of complete serenity." Recovering from the experience and regaining his weight was also a challenge. The actor went to a monastery in Portugal to feast on fish and potatoes to get better. The American Psycho star got so wrapped up in losing weight that he found it difficult to recover. He explains, "I got increasingly sick as the film went on, and I started getting addicted to losing weight, and more so addicted to the challenge of you can do a little bit more. There's a little voice in your head. I had a number that I wanted to get down to, and that number kept getting lower and lower as you get used to it, because you look in the mirror and I didn't see myself as skinny." And when it came time to gain the weight back, Leo couldn't bring himself to chow down on solid food. Jared Leto clearly succeeded in restraining himself from connection and nutrition. But when it came down to drugs, did the actor's methods take him as far as experimenting with heroin? To understand how it was to live as an addict, Leto went on to live on the streets of New York City with real people abusing drugs on a daily basis.
But yeah, I remember going to New York and living on the street and really getting close to some of the folks that I met there that were living similar lives to Harry Goldfarb.
In an interview with Al Babwa, Jared Leto said, "Maybe because of my inexperience, I went off the deep end a little bit, but I wanted to make sure I did everything I could. I basically came to New York and went and I lived on the Lower East Side and surrounded myself with people who were in the same circumstances as my character. Every night was an adventure, whether it was someone missing the vein in their arm and their hand fills with poison, or they overdose, or you're hanging out and it's like, remember that girl we were hanging out with last night? Well, she's dead. I got robbed one night, but I just tried to become one of the group." One of the most surprising revelations about Leto's whole process was that he actually injected himself with water to feel closer to the experience of those using heroin. During a famous TV show called El Hormiguero, Leto makes this shocking revelation. "This was a great opportunity to see what I was made of, get deeper into the role. I injected myself with water. I was well hydrated. Days used to be quite sad, but it was important in order to understand these substances and add realism to my character. That's what we call going deep."
I think he was a little surprised when he thought, he was encouraging us all to go deep. And when I went deep, I don't think he expected it to go that far.
Thankfully, the actor didn't go too far when it came to losing his arm, a hard experience Harry goes through in the story.
I don't think there's no method in the world that could make your arm go away. I mean, I guess there is, but there was a blue or green sleeve on it, or there was some kind of a trick. I can't remember, but effective, I guess, And it was just like that there were days that were just full of tears and pain, and other days that were full of hope and dreams. Hubert Selby I think he would say that the book was about the American dream and how that can be a drug in and of itself. A harrowing experience. I remember almost every moment of that film. It's funny how some things make such an impact on you.
It's a consensus that Leto's performance in Requiem for a Dream is astonishing. The film changed his career and opened many doors. Here's what the actor had to say about his hard work.
I guess the cliche that hard work pays off. This movie was all about commitment, and it started with Darren. I think all of us have mentioned so far. You just felt like there was an opportunity here that something special might be happening, and I, like everyone else, was so excited to be a part of this group, to be a part of the source material. Cubby, Darren's previous work spoke so loudly and was so groundbreaking that I think everyone thought this is a really rare chance to see what you're made of, to go to a place you hadn't gone to before. And so we had just all had that sense that we were part of something unique, and I still do. I still feel that way.
Something special did happen. Research and preparation were fundamental for the incredible final result. But here's one more thing that helped Leto find his way to Harry.
I do remember with Ellen, the first scene that I had, which was that scene you spoke about in her house. I was so amped up and I was so raring to go that I lost my voice. And I had to come back. Like the worst thing that could happen happened. I couldn't even speak. But she was so good. It's like playing tennis with, McEnroe or whoever. She was so good. I recognized immediately in the scene, I was like, oh, she's not going to let me fail. And it was just like this enormous gift, and I saw her dedication, her commitment, and I saw Ma. I saw her there.
Possibly as intense as the process Jared Leto went through to become Harry Goldfarb is our journey watching Requiem for a Dream. It's no surprise that so much was needed from Leto to become Harry. It's a dark, heavy drama that does not restrain itself from realism and the hardship of loneliness and addiction. Or, in the words of a very young Leto himself,
I mean, this movie it's not for the weak at heart. It's a challenging film. It's not typical Hollywood melodrama that caters to some formula that people want. It's not a drug, it's not like, it's like the movie. Itself isn't what these people in the film are obsessing about. I think the film is about humanity's age-old obsession with escapism and how we all want to get out of ourselves and fill that hole. And this film doesn't fill that hole. It's a horror movie.
What are your thoughts on method acting? Do you believe there's such a thing as going too deep to become a character? Let us know in the comments below.